Welcome back to The Tangent. Today we have in the room Devin and Tim and myself. We are going to continue our conversation about The Karate Kid, even though we did all the movies last week. We're going to go ahead and jump forward to the main reason why I'm talking about The Karate Kid is because of the popularity of the new show that just moved over to Netflix that was once on YouTube Premium, which is Cobra Kai.
Yeah, I didn't know it was on Premium before.
Yeah,
the only reason why it moved over is because YouTube's getting rid of all their premium shows.
Yes, they are.
So Cobra Kai originally started...
Which is the reason why Wayne's not getting its second season.
I know, right?
So the main reason why Cobra Kai even started was it was something that came up. Somebody wrote a fan fiction of later years of Daniel LaRusso and Johnny Lawrence. Somebody picked it up and liked it, showed it to Ralph Macchio and the actor that plays...
I can't think of his name.
William Zabka?
Yeah, that's
Zabka.
Billy Zabka.
Showed it to them. They really enjoyed it. They wanted to do something out of it. They got some really good writers and wrote a season or two of this thing called Cobra Kai. So we've gone through the movies, so we're not going to go through the movies again. We will backtrack into some of the movies for
show reasons.
Show reasons. But other than that, you guys have already heard our synopsises on the movies. So it starts out with Johnny later in life. What is it, 30 years later?
I don't know. It starts in, 2017, so it's however many years it's been.
Yeah, however many years it's been. So it's been a while since the whole first movie tournament stuff.
Yeah.
Johnny is no longer a rich kid. He's a down-on-his-luck man who's just trying to do whatever he can, odd jobs to keep life going.
He's basically a handyman that's employed by some random company that does handiwork. And he's not terribly good at it. He's also an extreme alcoholic.
Yeah. Coors Banquet.
Yeah.
We like our Coors Banquet in this group. So
what's funny is they probably could have financed the entire show off of just being paid by Coors to do product placement if they were doing product placement for Coors, which apparently they weren't.
No, it had nothing to do with Coors. Coors.
Yeah.
I don't even know if Coors is even a technical sponsor of the show.
No, apparently they only had one paid sponsorship, and it was Enterprise Car Rental. So there's a lot of things that they do that you would think that they were getting money for, because it seems like obvious product placement.
Because Daniel now owns car dealerships and he sells Mercedes. So there's Mercedes all over the place.
He sells Audis, Acuras, Nissans. He sells one Dodge. They
sell because he sells Johnny the.
But he sells higher end cars.
Yeah, but most of the time when you see his dealership from afar, from a distance, like an outside shot.
Oh yeah, and he sells Infinities too.
It's all Mercedes.
Is it Mercedes?
It's all Mercedes.
Because all they do is talk about the Infinities. And
So the showroom that they have, that they're doing the
right, he has a Porsche in there.
All Mercedes. Is there a Porsche in there?
Yeah, because that's what Robbie gets in trouble for trying to move, was the Porsche.
Anyways.
Okay, so he sells high-end cars, and there's a lot of high-end product placement in that movie, or in the show.
But none of it's actual product placement because they weren't getting paid.
But Johnny gets fired from his job as a handyman and decides to, after some reevaluation and getting into a fight with a couple of guys and realizing that karate is one of the things he's always been good at, he decides to reopen up Cobra Kai.
Yeah,
The
first episode of Cobra Kai is the overall plot beats are pretty simple, but it's very well structured. There's a lot of down and out, and things are terrible, and learning this is what I want to do with my life, and it's a really good episode.
Well, I mean, the whole series is phenomenal.
Yeah.
So, he decides to open up Cobra Kai, but he wants to make it a little different. He doesn't want to do the full-on, like, John Kreese Cobra Kai, where, you know, mercy is for the weak and blah, blah, blah. He does teach the strike hard, fight hard, and no mercy. But that's just trying to teach these kids that life's not going to give you mercy, so don't give mercy back to life.
Yeah.
So he's just trying to teach these kids to be stronger.
Basically, the lesson he's learned from life is it sucks and it tries to hurt you any way it can. So he's just gonna go and try and kick it in the teeth.
So first couple of characters the main characters of this show will be Johnny Lawrence and Daniel LaRusso. Daniel's wife and family, which you only meet his son a few times throughout the show, but the main character is his daughter.
Yeah.
You also meet Miguel, which is going to be Johnny's
apprentice.
And then you'll meet Robbie, which is technically Johnny's son, but it ends up being Daniel's student. So it's a little complicated, but it works because it worked for the show.
Like, and as a
Daniel still does karate and all this?
He does not, and that's something he builds into once he sees Cobra Kai open up again. He gets this wild hair up his ass that he wants to
be Cobra Kai again.
So he finds a student who ends up getting beat up, and he teaches Robbie how to fight, and basically rebuilds the dojo that he used to have at his house, and he basically teaches Robbie at this dojo. And then so a lot of this show, you'll hear the word balance a lot throughout both seasons of the show. And a lot of it is showing the unbalance of certain people and the way they are doing things.
So it's kind of the whole show so far is basically a fight of balance versus strike first.
Yes.
And I think it's kind of trying to show you that striking first can be a legitimate tactic at certain points, and being balanced is where you want to be basically the rest of the time. It's basically be balanced and know when to strike first. And they're kind of coming to a head because they both just want to do their one thing.
Gotcha.
So Cobra Kai versus Miyagi-Do all over again. But with a lot more nuance.
I forgot to say this at the very beginning, but if you have not watched Cobra Kai, there will be spoilers. If you have seen Cobra Kai, continue to listen. Or if you don't care about having the show spoiled for you, continue to listen. If you don't want the show spoiled for you, go watch the show and then listen to our podcast.
Alright, see you guys later.
Because we are going to spoil a lot of things. Devin has not seen Cobra Kai. I think we might have convinced him to maybe take a look at it, so we might not throw as many spoilers out there as we...
holds barred, forget it. I still might watch it, but that doesn't mean you can't do your pod.
Okay, so...
Do your Tide Pod.
The first season... we're going to go back to, like, the first movie where it's all about the tournament.
Kind of, yeah.
The All Valley.
It doesn't really become about the tournament until about halfway through the season.
But if you really look at it, no matter how you look at it, it builds to the tournament.
But it sort of seems to me that it's the first movie, but from Johnny's perspective.
Yes.
So instead of being from the new kid who's from out of town's perspective, it's from the ex-degenerate who's trying to turn his life around in his senior year's perspective, and how some random kid from out of town just sort of breezed in and, like, ruined everything.
Yeah.
Like,
so the first season ends in the All Valley tournament, the All Valley Under 18 Karate Championship, if you want to really get all fancy schmancy about it. So again, it doesn't start where things are going to head towards the tournament. Johnny would like to take his one student that he does get when he opens Cobra Kai and take them to the tournament. Well, it ends up later that he ends up picking up students because these are kids that are being picked on and bullied and stuff like that, and Johnny teaches him how to, in his words, I hate using this word, but in his own words, stop being a pussy. And learn to fight back and learn to protect, learn to do your thing. So he does get students. So towards
now when he uses the term pussy, he does mean it in like a sort of traditional sense of like, do not be so pusillanimous, which means to be timid or shy.
Right.
Oh, sure.
What Tim said.
And that's really directly what he's doing, because he's trying to teach them to strike first, to be more confident, approach situations more head on.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
And so he's
mercy on life.
Be go-getter about it.
Right. He's legitimately telling them, don't be timid or shy. Just be confident and move forward.
Right. So to breeze through the first season without really giving away too much, which I don't say we have to breeze through the first season, but to get through the first season, Johnny opens the karate dojo. Daniel opens his makeshift dojo to teach this one student. Things happen, I forget, because it's been a while since I watched the first season, because I've watched the second season like 3 times now with friends, because every time I end up over there, we're in the second season, so it's just kind of
Johnny and Daniel sort of, on a couple of occasions, sort of semi-get along, because they realize they're not so different, you and I, and they do the whole thing, and they like get along, and they'll like have a couple drinks together, and then almost immediately something terrible will happen that will be a huge misunderstanding that will lead to them wanting to murder each other.
And that's a stigma of the whole season,
and
both first and second season.
The first season was Johnny's son Robbie is being trained by Daniel, and the only person who knows that situation is happening in exactly that way is Robbie. Because Daniel doesn't know that Robbie is Johnny's son, and Johnny doesn't know that Robbie's there. So Daniel and Johnny are hanging out and finally starting to get along, and they're rather drunk, and they're going to go wander into the dojo to have like a sparring match because for funsies. And Robbie's there because he's having a bad time of something, and he wants to ask Daniel for advice. Right, he wants to ask Mr. LaRusso for advice, and Johnny and Daniel come walking in, and there's this whole big blow up. Everyone starts fighting each other. It's this whole big thing. Daniel kicks Robbie out, and Johnny goes running off into the sunset, and like this whole big thing. So it's they can't get along because it doesn't matter. The universe always just wants to
their universe keep pitting them against each other.
Yeah.
So
the second season's even
more
ridiculous.
ridiculous. But the thing is that they're not like ridiculous like the third movie Ridiculous.
Right.
These things that happen could easily happen anywhere at any time.
Right.
I mean,
the whole
the
show,
miscommunications, the misunderstandings, the things that happen could happen in real life.
The whole show is just a giant story of every story has 2 sides. And
exactly.
The only thing that really goes ridiculous is instead of it being like a normal drama where like now we won't be friends anymore, and like if you were watching like a CW drama, each one of these situations would end with someone probably getting pregnant. But instead, all these situations end with, and now we have to have a karate fight. It's the same basic thing, except more violent, which is why it's more fun.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. I feel.
So I mean,
it's Riverdale with kicks.
Right. So then there's other parts of the series, like Daniel's daughter and her best friend have been friends forever. They've grown up together, blah blah blah. Well, Daniel's daughter's best friend ends up joining Cobra Kai and learning to strike
because she's overweight and a nerd, so she gets picked on a lot. So she joins Cobra Kai so that she can learn how to fight back and be less of a nerdy, overweight girl.
And because of her new forceful nature, Daniel's daughter and her don't get along anymore. They don't talk. They don't hang out.
So
there's
creates
another
a greater divide.
Another divide.
Now, they were already not hanging out basically because Samantha, who's Daniel's daughter, was already not talking to her because Samantha was hanging out with the popular girls. So she wasn't exactly doing anything to assist her friend who was going through this hard time and being bullied in school. She was actually hanging out with her friend's bullies.
Right.
So,
again, more divides here and more divides there. So it helps create this
more evidence as to why Samantha's the actual bad guy of the show.
But stop. But there's a lot of drama that happens, and it's a lot of high school drama. So if you're not too keen on high school dramas, it's whatever. But there's a lot of fighting involved.
It's got punches and kicks.
And again, Tim said it the best. It's looking at things from two different sides of the fence.
Yeah.
Like viewing perspective, and that's the key thing about. And one of the reasons why I really enjoy the show is that you're not looking at it at just the perspective of the hero. You're looking at a perspective of the person who can be perceived as the villain.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you're seeing this old villain of Johnny see the light in a lot of things. Mm-hmm. Like, his whole no mercy rule, at one point in his head, he's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. At some point, you have to stop and give some leniency, give a little bit of mercy to somebody who's already down. Don't kick a person who's already down. He's starting to see these things, and they're starting to click in his head, like these little like morality things that were drilled in his head by John Kreese are now coming to this point in his head where he's like, oh, that was wrong. Mm-hmm. You know, this whole finish your opponent, even though your opponent's on the ground knocked out, or he's on the ground and the fight's over, John Kreese would say, finish him.
Make sure he can't fight again.
Finish him. Finish the fight. Finish it. And now Johnny is realizing that that final finish makes him
the bad guy.
Yeah. And he's starting to see it. He's starting to click in his head. So he wants to make Cobra Kai a big thing again in the Valley. But he doesn't want to do it in the same way John Kreese made Cobra Kai.
He wants to change Cobra Kai from being straight up no mercy to like no mercy with honor. Like,
I'm not gonna let you push me around, so I'm not gonna show you mercy if you do.
Right.
But I'm also gonna not.
But when the fight's over and you're not fighting me anymore, we're done.
Yeah.
Like.
So I mean, we've only been talking for a few minutes, but we're gonna go ahead and push to the end of the first season, where, yes, it all culminates into a tournament.
Okay.
The tournament, the All Valley tournament. So Johnny has a couple of students in the tournament. So he's got his Cobra Kai dojo with a couple of students. Well, again, Daniel,
Mr.
LaRusso has one student that just flies through the tournament. So Miyagi-Do is what he's called his
style,
his school.
Yeah.
So it's Miyagi-Do karate.
Which that comes from the first movie, because he had to make up a school name in the first movie, and he just said Miyagi-Do.
Yes,
which I don't recall that being their official name of their karate style or anything. I think it was just Miyagi Family Karate or something.
Yeah, but Miyagi-Do is just basically the school.
Yeah.
He
opened,
I gotcha. Because Cobra Kai is the school. His school was Miyagi-Do, so he makes Miyagi-Do karate. So he also. So what's really cool about this show, to me, is when it comes to old actors and actresses from the original movie, they use the original actor or actress to come back.
Yeah, if they can't get the original person, then they're not in the show.
Not in the show.
Yeah.
So Zabka and Ralph Macchio, the actress that played Daniel's mother,
Yeah, she
They
comes back.
Can't use Pat Morita because he's dead.
Yeah, they use a body double for him once for like
Once.
a behind shot.
Yeah, and that's it. John Kreese does make an appearance. He is the actual original actor. At one point, all of the Cobra Kai guys from the original movie, Johnny, Tommy,
Bobby,
Jimmy, and then Dutch, they explain why Dutch is not there. And Dutch is another member.
The guy who plays Dutch in real life just said no, so in the show he's in prison.
Yeah. But it's the original, so...
I love it.
So
Yeah.
Naturally.
So, you got the original Cobra Kai guys. The original actors that played them actually make an appearance in one of the second season episodes.
Gotcha.
And in the show, the guy who played Tommy had cancer because I think in real life
he had cancer. And he actually died.
Yeah, he died in the show and a couple months later in real life.
So I know I'm jumping ahead, but in season 3 that's supposed to come out in January, Allie, the girl interest from the first movie, Elizabeth Shue, is actually Elizabeth Shue is going to be coming in making an appearance. So you know Elizabeth Shue from The Boys, the blonde chick, corporate girl that runs the superheroes.
Oh, from season 1?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's Elizabeth Shue.
Gotcha.
So she's going to be in season 3 of Cobra Kai, as well as Chozen from Karate Kid 2.
So the thing about this show, and like I said, I love this show because of that, is they're bringing the original actors in, and if they can't, that character just won't make an appearance.
Gotcha.
So, I love it. I love the show. I love the way the outlook and the way they're running it. I love the way they're the writers are amazing. Whoever they are, I don't know who they are, but whoever they are,
they were just some Karate Kid fans.
I know, but they are absolutely amazing.
Yeah, but they're also
amazing.
Extremely accessible. Like there are now channels on YouTube dedicated to Cobra Kai lore and looking for what might happen in the future of Cobra Kai and the Karate Kid franchise.
I just watched the video.
Some of them actually do interviews with the creators of Cobra Kai.
Yeah, and they have
they're just little YouTube channels.
They have the original writers and creators of Cobra Kai have held multiple open Q&As.
Nice.
Yeah.
Where you can ask them whatever question you want. They've done the best they can.
2 or 3 of them on the Cobra Kai companion channel.
So there's been a couple of cons too, where they brought Zabka and Ralph Macchio and a couple of the other actors from the show and put them on panels. Well, they did a full panel of a table read for the first scene of season 3. Well, Ralph Macchio took a picture. Didn't open it up. You couldn't see any wording, but you could see through one page into the other of like the list of people that will show up in that first episode.
Yeah, it's basically the first page of the script is just like the cast list.
Yeah, in the order that they show up.
Yeah,
and you could. And I just watched a video of a guy actually deciphering.
Was it from Watch Party?
I don't remember who it was. It's just something that came up when I looked up. Season 3.
So Watch Party is one of the Cobra Kai lorists.
Well,
and he's got a really detailed breakdown of people he thinks are on that list. He
just did a redacting of his first, because after he first did it, he thought that the third person that was supposed to show up was Kreese, and he thought maybe Kreese was spelled wrong.
Yep.
But no, it's actually going to be Miguel, Robbie, Miguel, Robbie, and a referee.
Yeah.
So what he's thinking is that first scene is going to have something to do with the tournament.
Yeah.
Whether it's
it's probably a flashback.
Flashback
is what he
or it's a flash forward.
It could be a flash forward to the next tournament too. Yeah.
So.
But anyways, we're still at season 1 here.
Season 1, the tournament gets started, and Cobra Kai kind of dominates a little bit here and there. One of Tim's favorites characters. Hawk has one of the best story arcs but he's like a secondary character. But his story arc is amazing. He
He
has a deformed lip.
Yeah. So he had a cleft lip when he was a kid and had to have surgery. So now he has a facial deformity from the scar of the cleft lip surgery, and so he gets made fun of all the time in school. Okay. So he's just some nerdy kid who everyone makes fun of, and when he goes to Cobra Kai, he gets convinced by his new friend Miguel, who's
the main character,
the main character of the show, to go and try out Cobra Kai. And Johnny is not a sensitive and understanding teacher. He is 80s man, So he's just like
talking shit to him.
Yeah, he's just making fun of him, just like in front of the class. He's just like, it's like, you want to be known for being a kid with a weird lip, or you want to be a badass, and it's like, you gotta flip that script, man, or you're just gonna be weird lip all live long day. And so
and then he turns himself. He flips himself into a punk.
He sort of runs out of class, and the next day he comes in. And he's got this huge mohawk, and he's got a bunch of confidence, and he's like, "I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna flip this script."
Yeah. So what's really cool is that
no one even recognizes him.
His mohawk starts out as blue, and then ends up red. But he runs the mohawk the whole time. He has this giant. He changes his name from
Eli to Hawk. Yeah.
And the thing is that if you give yourself a nickname. How often will your own nickname stick? His stuck. He is Hawk to everybody.
And the thing is, he's not even the one that called himself that. Johnny calls him that when he walks in. And he's like, "Hey, welcome to Cobra Kai." And he's like, "Wait, are you the kid with the weird lip?" And he uses him as an example in front of the class. He's like, "See, it doesn't matter if you're a nerd or a loser. All that matters is that you become badass. Fall in the line, Hawk." And so he gives him this nickname, and he falls in line. He's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna be a badass."
All right.
So Hawk's story arc is great because he shows this nerd become a badass, and then you can actually see him go from badass to anger, and where it leads him.
Right. He goes from being made fun of to having confidence to being overconfident and becoming aggressive. And so he's running the whole gamut. When he was in the middle there, he was just really cool. He was just running around being confident, getting all the chicks and partying and then suddenly he's just starting fights in malls and he's going all out.
Dude, it gets crazy. And his friend Dimitri is the worst character in the whole. It's funny because Eli and Dimitri were friends. They meet Miguel. They both try out for Cobra Kai. Eli becomes Hawk and becomes the number 2 in Cobra Kai.
Yeah.
And Dimitri becomes this everybody wants to beat the crap out of him because he's annoying as fuck.
Yeah, he drops out of Cobra Kai and basically just becomes a tag along for them for a little while until later on when he tries to join again, gets beat up, leaves him a bad Yelp review, and Hawk just is like, "I'm going to murder you for putting up this Yelp review because drama." And
and at this point he had joined Miyagi-Do, and Miyagi-Do at this point, because now we've jumped past season 1, so
sort of
we'll jump back again. So we'll get back into that in a second because all that happens in season 2. So season 1 ends with the tournament, and it ends up with Miguel and Robbie. In the tournament, Miguel is Cobra Kai.
The one that's been trained by
Daniel, and that's Johnny's son.
Gotcha.
So they end up in the final together. Robbie has a hurt. I don't know if Robbie hurt his shoulder beforehand.
Yeah, because Hawk hurt it.
Okay, so Robbie has a hurt shoulder.
Because Hawk got disqualified for
hurting his shoulder
for attacking him after the round. Because Robbie got a point. Robbie turns around to go back to the line, and Hawk kicks him in the shoulder, which he knew was hurt, and gets disqualified.
So Robbie has a hurt shoulder. Miguel and him fight. Throughout the fight, it kind of going back and forth, and Miguel, in the teachings of what Cobra Kai, uses his weakness against him. So he actually uses Robbie's weakness to win. the tournament. So Miguel wins the tournament by exploiting a hurt shoulder, in a sense. He does hit him in the shoulder and hurts him and blah, blah, blah. So Miguel wins. So Miguel is now the champion. And that pretty much ends the first season with the tournament and Cobra Kai on top.
Victorious.
So now the season 2 starts with Daniel like, I gotta beat Cobra Kai. I gotta beat Cobra Kai. So he is dead set on this, getting this dojo up and running and actually teaching kids. So now we're in the summer.
Well, it's a little weird because Daniel is dead set on on beating Cobra Kai because he just watched Cobra Kai use the same sort of dirty techniques
That they
use on him, and that he was like, I wanted to believe that Johnny was doing this differently, but they're using these same dirty techniques. And what's weird is throughout that entire tournament, you can tell Johnny is like being like, he's distraught that they're using these techniques because he didn't teach them to do that.
Right.
They're just doing it, and he does kind of tell Miguel to cut it out, but before he can specifically tell him to, Miguel goes, "Don't worry, I got this," and he runs off and he uses more dirty techniques to win the tournament.
Gotcha.
And so, at the beginning of season 2, Daniel's trying to start up Miyagi-Do to take down Cobra Kai, while Johnny is trying to teach Cobra Kai that what they did was not right.
Gotcha.
So
again,
it's a bit of a mess.
It is. At the beginning of season 2, it is a bit of a mess. And then John Kreese comes in and starts enforcing old school Cobra Kai stuff into the Cobra Kai dojo.
Right. Which isn't
behind Johnny's back.
Isn't really that difficult because while Johnny's
doing it.
Yeah, Johnny's just realizing that what he's been teaching them was not the right thing, and now he has to like reverse engineer it. But Kreese comes in and just sort of reinforces things that they already knew now.
Right.
So then he just keeps marching them down that same path.
Gotcha.
So now we're going to go into season 2, and again, this is where Hawk becomes a little bit more, and Dimitri becomes a part of it. So because Daniel is opening wants to open as an actual dojo where he teaches a large group of students, his daughter joins. So his daughter and Robbie are his only students. So Sam, which is Daniel's daughter, and Robbie are the only students, and he teaches them a lot of things that are really cool, like that whole balance technique on that board, and how to defend in a circle, and how to have each other's back in fights and stuff like that. It's really cool. But he couldn't, no matter what he was doing, no matter what he did, throughout the whole first couple episodes, he tries to gain students, and he can't do it. He can't do it. He can't do it. Dimitri tries to rejoin Cobra Kai at this point, which is the one kid that everybody...
Yeah, the annoying kid.
The annoying kid. Dimitri tries to rejoin Cobra Kai, and Kreese ends up beating him up.
For being a lippy, just...
Yeah,
dweeb.
Because he tries to go in and tell them how he's going to train.
Yeah, he's like, I don't really want to be too hands-on. I don't want to learn how to
kick
and punch without actually being kicked or
I want to learn
punched.
how to punch and kick without actually being punched or kicked.
You know, I have a personal bubble, and the other Cobras are just going to have to deal with that. And it's like, he is the most annoying character in the whole show. I mean, don't get me wrong. He doesn't deserve to get punched in the face, but it's one of those things where I'm not terribly dissatisfied at him being punched in the face.
So,
like,
yeah, so he ends up joining Miyagi-Do, and then this is where the mall fight comes in. So he had placed that Yelp review. He's at the mall looking at comics, and Hawk confronts him and says, "Gotta always read that new issue, huh?" And then they get into this little fight. You need to take down that Yelp review. And he's like, "Or what are you gonna do, Eli? What are you gonna do?" And they get into a quick, like, 2-hit fight, and the comic book owner's like, "Hey, what's going on back there?" And Dimitri starts running through the mall. So this is the funny thing, because Tim makes this comment and says, The adults are oblivious of what's going on around them.
All of the adults in the Cobra Kai universe are useless.
Okay.
Because when this fight starts and they start chasing Dimitri through the mall, they run right past a security guard who's got headphones in and he's eating lunch. Like, so he's completely useless. So they have this giant knockdown, drag-out fight in the middle of the food court, and no one stops them.
Right before Eli is with Robbie and Sam at the food court, and so Eli knows that Robbie and Sam are there, so he's looking for some help. So he ends up running to the food court, and they weren't there. He's like, "Oh, great! Of course, you guys are done and gone." And they start to close in on Dimitri. The Cobra Kai start to close in on Dimitri, and then out of nowhere, Sam does this like whoop, kick to come in and save the day, and then Robbie's like, yeah, and then it's funny because Hawk makes that comment is that I don't really want to hit a girl, and then Robbie rocks up and says, it's not like you'd have a chance against her anyway, because knowing Sam is being trained by Daniel. Because she's already been trained even before this said training happened.
Yeah, because she's his daughter.
Right. So she already knows some stuff, but she's just learning more.
Right.
And Robbie knows some stuff. So in this, that whole balance and learning to fight in a circle with each other at each other's back comes into play because it's 5 on 2.5, as Hawk says, because Dimitri only counts as half a person.
Yeah, I think it's more like 1 and 3/4 because Dimitri basically detracts.
Yeah.
Instead of adding anything.
Yeah, if anything. But
because they basically just have to move him out of the way on occasion. Like,
so this little fight happens in the mall, and no adult stops it. This huge drag out fight, and nobody stops it.
What's funny is the only adult who ever really does anything in the entire show. Okay, there's 2 of them. One of them gets just stomped out and told to shut up and go away by Amanda, which is Daniel's wife. That's the security guard that tries to kick Robbie out of the country club. And the other one is the bouncer that kicks them out of the roller rink.
Yes. Well, and don't forget the teachers at the main fight at the end. That one teacher that gets punched.
One teacher tries to stop them, but he gets elbowed and thrown over someone's shoulder, and he's just done. And the other teacher runs away.
The other teacher looks at him like, huh, that ain't my job. And he walks away.
He specifically says, they don't pay me enough for this, and he just runs away.
Nice.
But, so a lot of this and a lot of things like that lead to Daniel getting some more students. And that includes a couple of the students from Cobra Kai. So we're about 4 or 5 episodes in now, and Daniel's starting to get some students, but these students from Cobra Kai, Robbie and Samantha are like, no, we can't trust them. They're Cobra Kai. They could be here to, do damage and blah blah blah. Oh, and I forgot to say, after the mall fight, Hawk gets mad because his girlfriend that he has breaks up with him for fighting.
For fighting Dimitri specifically. Because his girlfriend is named Moon, and she, just think about that for a second. Her name's Moon. She is, super hippie. She's the world's most hippie. And she is hippy-dippy, and everyone needs to be friends. So she doesn't really, she never really cared about Dimitri until she was, in a relationship with Hawk, because Dimitri was Hawk's friend, and therefore they have to be friends forever. So they get into a fight, and she goes, why'd you beat up Dimitri? He's your friend. And basically breaks up with him for being a bully.
Gotcha.
So he gets all mad, and he walks into Cobra Kai, and he's beating up a punching bag. And Kreese goes, hey, not so subtle hint, go do some damage. And
basically he's saying is the war's not over just because of one
unless you
fight.
say it's over.
So go continue this war. And so basically Dimitri grabs a bunch of the Cobra Kai guys, and they go destroy Miyagi-Do. So Miyagi-Do is on Hawk, that's what I meant to say. So Hawk gets some Cobra Kai, and they destroy Miyagi-Do. But now Miyagi-Do is being held at Miyagi's old house. Remember that house that he built the guest house for?
Okay.
Yeah, so that house with that giant yard and all that fencing and stuff that Daniel learned to do his movements on and painting the house and
Yeah, so
sanding the
it
floor
gets
and stuff.
destroyed, and the Medal of Honor gets stolen.
Miyagi's Medal of Honor gets stolen.
And some genius out of this whole little crew decides to spray paint Cobra Kai Never Dies on the car that Mr. Miyagi gave Daniel as a graduation present. So, so he jumps in the banana
I thought
boat.
it was a birthday present.
It was a present.
16th birthday present.
It was a present, regardless. But he jumps in what they call the banana boat, which is the big yellow car.
Beautiful car.
And he drives it over to Cobra Kai, and he accuses Johnny of sending his students over to destroy his place and steal the Medal of Honor. And Johnny has no idea what the hell he's even talking about.
Yeah, it has nothing to do with it because it was John Kreese.
Yeah.
Right. It was Kreese and Hawk and a couple of the other guys, but Johnny has no idea what the hell's going on.
But that little tirade pushes a couple of the Cobra Kai students like, this isn't what we signed up for. Pushes them out, and
a couple of them leave and go to Miyagi-Do.
So now we got this messed up dojo area, and they're trying to get it all cleaned up, and these Cobra Kais come in, and Robbie and Sam don't want to have anything to do with them. So Daniel does his whole teaching of forgiveness and blah blah blah, and then it's like, well, how do you know you've never been a Cobra Kai? He goes, actually, I was.
Yeah.
Because in the third movie, he was Cobra Kai. So he has to go through this story, and the whole moral is, forgiveness, and then working together as a team, and then they rebuild everything, and, well, so we know that Hawk was part of the thing that destroyed, or that vandalized Miyagi-Do. Kreese decides to do a war games with Cobra Kai, so he splits everybody up. At this point, you've already met Tori, which...
Yeah.
Okay, so Miguel and Sam in the first season...
They got together for a little while.
Were a couple for a minute.
And then Miguel confused some things because Robbie shows up, and also Sam doesn't want to tell her dad about Miguel because Miguel is the top Cobra Kai student, and Daniel doesn't like Cobra Kai, so she's trying to hide Miguel from her dad, and so she's talking to Robbie, and Miguel sees Robbie, and it's this whole big thing.
Again, a bunch of misunderstandings and not enough communication.
It's a bunch of misunderstandings focusing specifically around like Samantha and Miguel and Robbie. But so they break up, and in the second season, Sam and Robbie end up getting together, and Miguel and this new girl Tori get together, and
Miguel and Sam have this weird, they're not quite sure how they feel about each other. Miguel has been pining over Sam for a long time.
Yeah, he spent the first half of the second season trying to win her back.
Okay, and then Tori convinces him that, hey, there's better things out there, like Hello Me. And then, so they do these war games where Tori and Miguel are on the same team, and they split the rest of the Cobra Kai, and basically is... You run out in the woods and you gotta do full combat, and you wear a headband, either red or black, and your headband is your life. If you lose your headband, you're dead. So you gotta combat to fight for the headband. So they're fighting for headbands.
There is actually one bit of context that should probably come before the war game, and that's when Johnny found out about the Miyagi-Do dojo being destroyed. He was pissed.
Oh, he was livid.
He was just like, we're gonna stay here and we're gonna do conditioning until someone admits that they screwed up
big time
LaRusso's dojo. And so he's having them do up downs and
burpees,
other conditioning,
burpees and
it's
nice.
he's just like, we're staying till you guys say something. I want to know who did it. And then he ends up getting called away because of the Tommy dying thing.
Yes.
So he gets called away for that, and he leaves it to Kreese to figure out who did it, which is a bad idea because Kreese already knows who did it, and he asked him to go do it.
Right.
So basically, he leaves them to the shark, basically, and as a result of Miguel knowing that Johnny is really mad about what happened to the Miyagi-Do dojo during the war game is where Miguel ends up learning some other stuff, and he gets mad about it too.
So Miguel finds out that Hawk has the Medal of Honor.
Oh.
So he gets it back after winning war games, but I'm going to leave that because that's kind of a funny ending. I'll leave that to let the listeners figure that one out on their own because it's a pretty funny moment. So after the war games, he tries to go give the Medal of Honor back to Sam as a
Right.
Sorry
this happened.
But,
Here's the Medal of Honor.
Robbie had recently moved in because his mom is
A horrible mom.
a drug addict who ran away to Mexico with a random dude. And as a result, he has no electricity or food. So...
And Robbie doesn't live with his dad? Doesn't know anything about his dad?
Well, he refuses to live with his dad, basically.
Oh, okay.
Because he thinks his dad is a jerk.
Gotcha.
So he goes and lives with the LaRussos, which there's a weird conflict there, too, because the LaRussos were trying to get a hold of his mom to make sure that it was okay if they were basically taking care of him for a little while, and then they couldn't get a hold of her, so they go and try and talk to Johnny. That doesn't go so well because then they figure out that Kreese is back, and that's the whole thing. But Robbie's recently moved in. Him and Sam are starting to get friendly, and they kiss, and then Miguel just shows up, and Robbie answers the door, and Miguel's all like, "Hey, I got the Medal of Honor. I didn't do it. I just wanted to make sure it got back here." And Robbie does everything he can to make sure that Sam doesn't know that Miguel brought it back. So
more shittiness from both sides.
Yes. So again, like I said earlier, this show has a lot of viewing things from two different sides.
Right.
And that's what I really love about it, is like you're not just seeing the one side of things, you're seeing it from everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of stuff happens now after all that happens. So Robbie puts the Medal of Honor just out in the yard, and Dimitri finds it. Oh, look, found the Medal of Honor. Oh, it must have been back here the whole time.
Yeah.
We just didn't see it.
So the only person who knows it wasn't back there the whole time is Robbie.
And everybody in
And literally everyone at Cobra Kai.
Yes.
But they don't talk to each other.
Of course not.
So, and then a bunch of other like drama stuff happens. The roller rink happens because Sam and Robbie are starting to get close and they want to go out on a date together, so they choose the roller rink on 80s night, which is freaking spectacular because Robbie dresses up as the guy from Pretty in Pink, and Sam dresses up as the girl from Pretty in Pink.
Okay, nice.
And then what's awesome is Miguel is going through Johnny's closet and takes Johnny's iconic red jacket from the first movie. Has the Cobra Kai patches on. It's a red leather jacket that he wears everywhere all the time. And he says, "Can I use this jacket?" Yeah, whatever, go ahead. And that's what he's wearing.
When he shows up to the roller
at the roller
rink.
rink.
He shows up to 80s night.
80s night. It's like, oh my god, that is so iconic.
Jacket.
The reason why Miguel shows up to 80s night is because his
Tori
new girlfriend Tori works there.
And she's dressed up as Madonna.
I guess.
It was Madonna because, yeah. So Madonna from the 80s.
I just looked at her and went, she's dressed up as the 80s.
No, that was Madonna.
It's Madonna in her original form, not just...
It was not her final form,
80s.
but it was her original form.
Her original form was just the 80s incarnate.
So, but they end up getting to a small little tiff at the roller rink, and, like, Tori ends up pushing Sam, And then Sam does this wicked freaking like sweep move while Tori's
like
got a tray.
like sweep from the back while Tori's working.
Yeah, carrying a tray full of food. And of course, Tori works there, so who's the security guard gonna freaking side with?
Yeah.
Gonna side with the worker and tell the other two to get out, so they ended up...
Yeah, so she ends up getting kicked out of the roller rink.
There's a bunch of other stuff that happens. The house party is something that needs to be brought up.
Which house party?
The one that Moon holds.
Right, yeah, so the Moon party at... the house party at Moon's house, yeah.
Okay, so Moon and Hawk are separated now. This is hilarious.
Moon's trying to make peace with everybody. She's trying to make everybody
because school's going to start up again soon. So she wants everybody to be friends again when school starts.
So she invites the Cobra Kais and the Miyagi-Dos all over for a house party at her place because she's still friends with everybody. And Hawk's trying to get back together with her, and so he tries to use the age-old technique of go get another girl and make my girl that I actually want jealous. And the girl that he picks happens to be Moon's new girlfriend.
Yeah. Freaking hilarious. It was great because he's like walking and how you doing? And
he's trying to hit on her, and then Moon just comes out of nowhere and just like plants a big kiss on her. And it's just like, oh hey Hawk, have you guys met? And
he gets like rage.
Rage. What's weird is he goes through like rage and sadness and confusion like all at once, and then he like. This is why I don't think Hawk's a bad guy, because he just sort of like looks at me and he's like, hey, that's cool. And he just like walks away and just like distraughtly sits down and like starts drinking a beer.
Again,
like,
Sam and Tori go head to head.
What can you do? Really?
Right, he was like, what else am I going to do?
So Sam and Tori are now the female side of the...
LaRusso versus Lawrence.
Yeah.
So Sam and Tori end up going head to head in drinking competitions.
Yeah, they're standing on stools with one foot while drinking, and if you fall off, you lose. Which sounds extremely dangerous.
That's pretty hilarious. Good TV.
And then Dimitri gets up on the mic and just starts in on Hawk,
which is such a dick move,
right?
Yeah.
Calling him a bedwetter because he wet the bed.
No, but here's the
my favorite line.
Hawk is now trying to listen to Johnny's new lessons
to show mercy.
And so Hawk is listening to him say all this stuff, and he's just like, "No, we're showing mercy. We're showing." And Dimitri's just keeps going at him and keeps going at him and keeps going at him, and like I don't know how Hawk took it that long. Like, man, that was
dude. Because one of my favorite parts is where he says. Yeah, so when Eli used to come over and spend the night at my house, we had a blow-up air mattress, especially because he had a bedwetting problem. So my mom had nicknamed that air mattress Eli's waterbed.
Wow.
I'm like, oh, man. I'm like, holy cow, this dude does not know when to quit, does not know when to give up, does not know, he just doesn't.
It's a complete dick move. Like, Hawk wasn't doing anything to him. Right. Okay. Now, granted, earlier him and Dimitri and Hawk were talking, and they got into they started off kind of hostile, went a little friendly. Dimitri said something that pissed Hawk off. Hawk threw a drink at him. Not cool, but at the same time, that was a tiff between the two of them. And you could have just left it alone, Right. But instead, he stands up in front of everybody. And like, because even if Hawk attacks him, all anyone's ever gonna do is be like, "He was just talking, man. Why'd you throw a punch?" And in front of an entire party. Right. Like, so this is a no-win situation for Hawk.
No real fighting happens at this.
Yeah, the cops get called and they end up having to run away instead.
Well, so there's something that really important happens.
Yeah, there's another thing. Yeah.
So, Robbie was gonna try to find a way to get Sam home because now Sam is freaking blitzed.
So, also at the beginning of this episode, I should point out, Robbie's mom shows back up and says that she's going into rehab because she's addicted to what seems to be painkillers and alcohol.
Nice.
So Robbie is used to dealing with an alcoholic mother, and Sam, after winning the drinking contest against Tori, decides that she is going. Yeah, she wins the drinking
So
contest,
he's gotta
and then
go
decides
with
that she
his
wants to
drunk-ass-
keep drinking.
His drunk ass girlfriend.
So now he's taking care of his drunk ass girlfriend, who is starting to become slightly verbally abusive toward him.
Like his mom.
Yeah, and
So
that's a thing that's happening.
she ends up walking out by the pool and ends up running into Miguel. They end up talking
because Aisha told her about the medal.
Oh yeah. Okay, so he
Aisha
goes
tells her about the medal and that Robbie. So she finds out that Robbie knew that Miguel gave them back the medal and didn't tell her. So she sort of wanders off toward the pool where Miguel is.
Finds Miguel. Knows
And-
that he's not a piece of shit.
They start
Right.
talking for a minute, and then next thing you know, Miguel and Sam are kissing, but Tori sees it through the window.
Yeah.
Ew.
So this kissing is kind of interesting because they kiss the once, and then Miguel basically immediately goes, "No, we can't do this. I'm with Tori now," and just immediate regret. And Sam is just like, and then runs away. But
Right.
So then the cops get showed,
and then the cops show up.
and everybody splits, and Robbie ends up taking Sam to Johnny's
Yeah,
place.
so she doesn't want to go home because she doesn't want her parents to know that she's been drinking. So
So she takes him.
So
or
he
takes her
takes
to
her
his
to-
dickhead
to-
dad's house, who he doesn't like.
yes, and him and Johnny start kind of getting along.
Yeah, because that's also when the Mexican restaurant happens.
Yes,
Because
so
that's the same night.
Daniel and Johnny, the same night as that party, end up being on dates at the same time and in the same restaurant.
Of course.
And the only tables in the place are the ones right next to each other. So all these plot conveniences combined.
They end up
Yes,
talking
black
and having
convenience
fun.
is the only
The
way
thing
to
is
put
that
it.
literally at the end, I mean, their tables are pushed together. They're talking. They're having fun. They're reminiscing. They're going through things. And when they leave, everything they even shook hands.
Yeah.
Everything was becoming completely amenable.
And this is what we were talking about when we said earlier,
let's-
the universe does not want them to be friends.
Right.
So now all this shit is happening.
Because the
Backlash
next-
from the house party.
Because the next day, they realize that Sam isn't in her bed, and so Daniel does a Find My iPhone on her phone,
and finds out that Johnny
goes and finds it, and realizes that it's Johnny's house. Johnny is now the calm one in this situation, and is like, "Hey, let me just explain, and just chill out for a sec." And Daniel's all super hot, and he just kicks open the door, and
They end up getting into a fight in the living room,
Yeah.
like an actual fight in the living room. Robbie and Sam come out and says, "What's going on?" And Daniel grabs Sam, "Let's go," and then Robbie leaves Robbie there.
So Sam tries to take the blame because technically it was her fault. She's the one who asked not to go home. She's the one who got drunk. She's this situation is technically her fault. But Daniel, seeing his enemy and what is now the son of his enemy, because he doesn't really consider him his student anymore.
Yeah.
With his daughter in this strange place while she was in a vulnerable state, and he's all just like, no explanations.
Yeah.
So, and we're now getting into the very last episode of the season.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's actually the beginning of the last episode of the season.
So they end up back at school. So Johnny, obviously, Robbie's been staying with Johnny, and school starts. So Johnny drops off Robbie. Daniel drops off Sam, even though Sam has her own nice car, but she got in trouble, so she got it taken away. So Dad has to drop her off at school. Hey, just think, if you didn't get drunk and end up in the wrong place and do the wrong things, you would have your own car and could drive yourself to school.
And she would still have a boyfriend living in her house.
Yeah.
Right.
So, school starts, but they're all talking about, hey, has anybody seen Tori since the party? Has anybody seen Tori? Has anybody seen Tori?
Oh, that's another situation that wouldn't have happened if she hadn't gotten drunk.
What?
Yeah, literally everything that happens in the school.
Yeah.
Sounds like Sam's the worst character to me.
Yeah.
So,
Sam's the bad guy of the whole show.
so then they're just going through through class. Robbie comes up to Sam and explains to her about the Medal of Honor.
Yeah, because he feels bad and he wants to tell the truth.
No more lies, blah, 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 tell the truth. So he tells... So they're getting ready that you can tell that they're going to make up.
Mm-hmm.
So she's probably going to tell him about the fact that she kissed Miguel.
Yeah.
But the bell rings because plot convenience, and they have to go to class. So she doesn't get a chance to tell him. And then Tori becomes a crazy person and like steals the microphone from the morning announcement person and declares that she is about to kick the crap
and
out of
out
Sam.
Right. And so like you see those two like in a junction of a hallway just run into each other.
They're like circling each other and they're about to fight. Robbie and Miguel are like full on running
through the school. Yeah,
Robbie gets there first and ends up hearing Tori say, "I know you kissed Miguel. I saw you." And then the fights start, and Robbie's just like, "Wait, what?"
So then it becomes a full...
When Miguel gets there, Robbie's trying to hold off Tori and trying to stop the fight, and he's trying to calm things down. All Miguel sees is
him grabbing up a girl.
Is Robbie grabbing Tori, and he just tackles him, and then it's just full-on fight. Miyagi-Do versus Cobra Kai.
Oh, yeah.
Just through the school.
And I'm going to tell you, some of the cinematography through that was amazing, because there was one continuous shot that goes from one fight to the other, and it's one continuous
it's just like
shot.
rolling down the hallway, just everyone fighting everybody.
And it is absolutely amazing cinematography.
Interesting.
The way they set that up and the way they did it was awesome, because Hawk ends up fighting a bunch of Miyagi-Dos. You got a couple,
and he is reveling in it. Like at the beginning of the fight, he punches someone, like clotheslines another person, and he just goes, "Yeah!" And then someone tackles him.
Dude, and then I'm pretty sure he's the one that elbowed a freaking teacher and flipped him over.
I think so too. Like it's
dude, and it gets crazy.
Then, like one of the other Cobra Kai guys, a guy named Stingray, comes like cruising through the hallway and kicks the crap out of a bunch of dudes. And, like it is a great,
hilarious.
Stingray's so great, but it is a great fight, and it is just all over the place. And man, it was a hell of a way to finish off that season.
So
But I will say this. I don't want to give away exactly what happens in the fight.
That's what I wasn't sure how I was going to go with
what
that.
I want to say is season 1 is a lot of, Cobra Kai is about the underdogs, the downtrodden, the basically the dregs of society, people who everyone makes fun of, everyone picks on, everyone bullies, and them getting the strength to fight back and winning.
Right.
Season 2 is how they took it too far, and another force basically came back and beat them back.
Into the way they used to.
Right. So at the end of season 1, Cobra Kai wins. At the end of season 2, every one of those fights in the school, Miyagi-Do won. Every single one. Like including, and this one pisses me off, Dimitri versus Hawk.
Yeah, I was really mad about that one.
Like, that one's got to be embarrassing.
Yes. But, I mean, there does take place Tori versus Sam and Miguel versus Robbie, and it just ends up them 4. And then, with that, I'm not going to say what happens at the end, because you're either going to watch it or you're not going to watch it, but either way, the ending of that is very surprising.
But yeah, there's a lot of characters that are now developing personal rivalries between the two schools. So you have Robbie and Miguel, Tori and Sam, Hawk and Dimitri, Chris and Assface, because they never give that guy a name. They just keep calling him Assface. And then the two little kids, the little Asian kids.
The two little kids fight was the greatest.
There's a little Asian kid that's in Miyagi-Do, and a little redhead kid with glasses that's in Cobra Kai, and they give each other just the biggest stink eye. Like
they do end up fighting, and this little security guard throws one over the shoulder.
That's the only one that gets stopped by an adult. Is a security guard comes over and just like picks them both up and just like walks them off.
All right. You guys might have convinced me to watch this. Now
So-
the question is if Netflix picked it up. Does that mean I can watch season
Both
1 and
seasons.
2 on Netflix?
Yes.
All right.
Yeah, both season 1 and 2 are on Netflix.
And season 3 will drop
In
on January 8th.
Yes.
Nice.
And season 4 is already in production.
Yeah, last I heard was they were just finishing up writing the script for episode 8 of season 4.
Damn.
So they already have the go ahead for the next 2 seasons. And I don't know how much more they can do.
Apparently, when they originally plotted out, they plotted their original outline, if they got everything they wanted, was 7 seasons long.
Oh, sweet! I would be okay with that because, and they're only 10 episodes.
10
long.
episodes, half-hour episodes. They're very
All
quick.
right.
Oh yeah, and they're one of those things, Devin, that you could literally watch while you're at work.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, if you just pause like you do your anime, you just pause when you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah.
You can click through it without a big deal, no problems. The show itself and some of the cinematography is spectacular. Especially that last fight scene in episode
Yes.
in season 2. But the writing is what is keeping me completely entranced in this show. Is like when I first watched. When I first watched the last episode of season 2, I was here. I think Marshall was in the other room. And I watched the end of season 2, and I literally stood up and was like, "What the heck are you doing to me? Why did you do that? Why? How could you end it like that? Why? What?" And I was in complete awe. So yes, at the end of season 2, there's a huge thing that happens.
And the thing is, they didn't intend to go so long without releasing season 3. It was literally the coronavirus stopped them from releasing season 3 on time.
And the
'Cause they were-
transition from YouTube to Netflix.
Which happened because of the coronavirus and YouTube getting rid of all their shows.
Yes.
Because they had season 3 originally basically all wrapped up, and they were going to release it, I think, in April of 2020. So, I don't even know how many months ago. That was their original plan, but
6 months.
yeah, so 6 months ago.
But now that it's on Netflix, Netflix was like, let's give everybody a chance to actually watch the shows.
Which it has gained whole new life. Like, I remember when it first came out, it had millions of views on YouTube. Like, people were watching the hell out of the show, and then it sort of died down because no one really watched a lot of the YouTube originals. People kind of forget they're there.
Right.
Yeah,
But on Netflix,
sure.
that's where you expect to watch new original shows.
Right.
And it's picked up millions of views all over again.
And a lot of Netflix originals knock it out of the park.
Right.
You know?
Like, don't get me wrong, like, Cobra Kai is not the greatest show in the world. It's very cheesy at points. It's got a lot of plot conveniences, and
Well, it can't be the greatest show in the world because he already mentioned the greatest show in the world.
I didn't hear about Firefly.
The Boys.
Boys, man.
But it's a very good 80s sort of retrospective show.
Yeah.
Where it takes a lot of the 80s stuff and sort of flips it on its head and sort of like brings it into like the new generation of people. And it's very self-aware. It's got a lot of cheesiness to it, but a lot of the cheesiness has a point. It's not just there to be cheesy.
Right.
It's there to play
Right.
back at, you know.
Right, and the thing is, again...
One of the best episodes to me is the episode where Johnny learns what the internet is.
Oh my god!
Because Johnny...
Throw a hash brown on there.
Yeah. Johnny...
And send it to the internet!
Johnny is the living representation of the 80s. He doesn't know anything about computers. He thinks they're all for nerds. He doesn't know anything about the internet. He has a dumb phone. He still has like a flip phone.
Right.
So something else that you need to think about is something that Tim brought up, I think, last night in our group, was Daniel, or not Daniel, the guy who plays the
Ralph Macchio.
Ralph Macchio is older now than Pat Morita was when he did the original?
Nick brought that up, but yeah,
Was that Nick that brought that up?
that was Nick that brought that up.
Okay, so
But
Nick from our D&D podcast and the greatest the game
of the year,
game of the year
game of the
podcast.
decade.
Nick, we hang out with him quite a bit. He brought that up that Ralph Macchio is actually older now in these shows than Pat Morita was when he did the original Karate Kid.
But I mean,
you couldn't tell by looking at him.
No, I mean it makes sense because Pat Morita was trying to play an older person.
Yes.
And he was homeless in Hawaii when he got cast. So
either way. Alright, so that's our synopsis on Cobra Kai. Now that we've done all of what we can with Karate Kid, I think we're going to do some recommendations. Do you have any recommendations, maybe outside of the Karate Kid? Something that you've been watching lately, or...
Oh, wow. Well, lately, I've been doing a lot of book stuff.
Okay.
But...
I've been avoiding books, but...
Well, with the fourth book of the Stormlight Archives coming out, I've been doing a reread of Oathbreaker. Oathbringer.
I might reread the whole series if the new book's coming out.
That's probably a good idea too. But what I've been getting into because of Cobra Kai is certain YouTube channels that do Cobra Kai lore and theories.
Yeah, not just Cobra Kai, but like the Karate Kid stuff.
Yeah.
Bring all of that stuff in there. So, but yeah, those are good because anything on YouTube.
So I would recommend specifically the channel Watch Party.
Okay.
He does really, really good videos on Cobra Kai theories and spoilers that he thinks are gonna happen. And also just, if you've read the Stormlight Archives books, book 4 is coming out on like the 17th of November. So keep an eye out for that. It's a good series.
Yeah, I'll be too busy playing with my PS5.
I'll be doing both.
Any recommendations? Maybe outside of something that's a little different?
So, I would say the 3 shows that I've been spending most of my time on recently has been the Clone Wars. I've finally decided to finish the Clone Wars. I'm on
It's good. It's a good
I'm
show.
on season 4 right now, and I'm loving it. It's
Good
fantastic. So I
think
guess
that's
I
about
would
to.
definitely want to recommend that. And then I also just
Have they done the time jump where Ahsoka grows up?
Yes,
Okay.
she's older now.
So with the time jump when Ahsoka grows up is when I really start loving the show. I liked the show before that.
Yeah,
And once she grows up, it was like, this show is
That's
phenomenal.
100% where it happened for me too. Where I'm just I'm not just watching it to get to that point anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's the reason why I didn't ever finish the show is because I would catch it sporadically. Because this came out when I was a teenager, weekly on XD or Disney or whatever. I would catch it sporadically and not really know what was going on full plot wise, but most of the time when I was paying attention to the show, it was when they were playing the beginnings over and over again.
Yeah.
And I was still kind of just waiting for it to stop being so much of a kid's show, I guess.
Yeah.
And I feel like it matures a lot once she has her time skip.
It does. Even the stories not involving her, like some of the stories that involve the Bad Batch.
They have 3 episodes where it's just R2 and C-3PO going to planets and saving people accidentally, and that's the greatest stuff ever.
Yeah.
I was very entertained by that. Just because the writing for the show seems to mature a lot more after that time skip too.
But when they start getting into the stuff with that group of clones that is a late batch of clones, so the DNA is starting to break down, and they don't think that they can make it.
Right.
Through training, they just think that they're going to be, having to be retired
Losers
and everything.
forever, yeah. Right now, I just finished
that stuff is drama gold, man.
I just finished an arc where a real dick-headed Jedi took over Anakin's platoon.
Oh yeah, and he hates clones.
They're trying to save. Yeah, he is a total ass, and just this whole time I'm ooh, somebody better get him.
Isn't that the guy that has the 2 double-bladed lightsabers?
Yeah, he's got 4 arms and 2 double-bladed lightsabers, and they're trying to make plans to stop this guy. I'm just you can't.
Yeah,
But anyways, that and this week I just started watching Cowboy Bebop.
Oh, I love
Cowboy
Bebop.
Bebop's good.
Man, it is good.
Yeah. That is probably one of the best shows
I'm surprised it's
I've
taking you
ever
this long.
seen.
Being into as much anime as you've been into, I'm surprised it's taking you this long to watch Cowboy
Well,
Bebop.
like, there's
Cowboy,
a lot
Cowboy
of stuff.
Bebop is the reason why I loved Firefly. They're very similar in concept, and
Do you remember what episode it is that he should watch the movie in between?
the movie happens after episode 21, I want to say.
Oh, Cowboy Bebop?
Yeah.
Okay.
There's a Cowboy Bebop movie. It happens somewhere around episode 21. I think it happens right after the episode Pierre Le Fou.
Yeah, see, I'm only on, like, episode 10.
Yeah.
I think. I started it on, like, Wednesday. And I've been watching, like, I hang out with my buddy Jason pretty often. And, like, there's a lot of start-stop on watching shows. And, like, so I'm in the middle of, like, 12 different animes right now.
Yeah.
You know, I'm like 150 or 60 episodes into Bleach. You know, and then I gotta fight not going back to the same shows over and over again. You know.
So, what else? Anything else?
And then The Boys, I already said, but that's the greatest show ever.
The Boys is probably the next show I'm gonna watch.
So The Boys is actually
good.
on my recommendation list. So here's the thing about my recommendations that are going to come up, what I've been watching lately. I know we talk a lot about Star Wars here. The two other people on the couch on the other side aren't too much into Trek.
Yeah, you've been rewatching that though.
I've watched pretty much every Star Trek show at least once through, like every single one of them. So I just finished Discovery, what's there on CBS Access, and then I just finished Picard. So those, if you are a Trekkie, watch those. If you have not already watched those are phenomenal. Especially Picard. Picard is really good. But I was going to say what I just restarted, because I don't know why I even stopped, but I got like 4 episodes into The Boys and just stopped. And then out of nowhere, when the second season came out, I was like, I need to rewatch that show because it was amazing.
You do. How far are you?
So I'm just about to start the second season.
Oh man.
So, yes, The Boys is definitely on that recommendation list.
I've only seen episode 1 so far, but I was very interested. Like, no one told me that Carl Urban was in it. That was a pleasant surprise.
Yeah, nice.
So, all right. With that and our recommendations out there, I hope you guys watch Cobra Kai. If you guys have ever watched any of the Karate Kids and enjoy that, Cobra Kai is definitely one of those things you'll enjoy. So, with all that said and our recommendations in, I'm going to say talk at you later.
See you.